Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time, hi, my name is Angie. So today we're going to be talking about mental sabotage and what that looks like for different people, how it manifests, and how you can pull yourself out of the rut using realistic solutions that I applied myself. So yeah, let's get into it. Mental sabotage is something that we're probably all familiar with in one way or another, and it manifests in very different ways depending on how your thought processes look like. And for me, just that mental resistance often manifests itself by way of overthinking and overanalyzing situations so that I can give myself more reasons not to do something, as well as comparisons, like comparing myself to other people and just seeing how well they're doing and they're thriving and all that, and here I am barely even started and all that. So yeah, and sometimes I also like talk myself down, and that's the saddest thing because you're supposed to be your own, like you're supposed to have your own back and kind of believe in yourself the most. So I do sometimes deal with all that like down talk on myself. So that's how my mental sabotage looks like, and it's been a journey. Like I have been doing some inner work consciously, like since last year, you know, talking to a therapist and all that, just to improve myself and improve my way of thinking. And even though I have talked to a professional and I have worked my way up, it's still a journey, and I don't think it's avoidable for you to deal with a bit of mental resistance every once in a while. So that's just how it is. Quick story time. So I started my YouTube channel probably like 2 weeks ago now, and for a first video it did extremely well. And what that means is I got some views, I got subscribers, I got comments. And on that note, I just want to thank everybody who took the time to watch that video and shared it and liked and commented and subscribed. You guys are the real MVPs, my friends, my loved ones. And to all the new people who are watching me from wherever you're watching me from, you guys are the real MVPs. Thank you. So back to what I was saying. So having started the YouTube channel and it doing decently well for a first video, it made me feel like, wow, this is actually something I can get going with. But at the same time, I was like, great, that video has done extremely well, so now what? Because I'm the type of person who overthinks a lot when I start something on a very positive and high note, because then it's like, how am I gonna keep this up? Is it gonna be as good as my last thing? Like, I tend to think about that a whole lot, which can, it's good to think about things and it's good to be smart about things, but at the same time I feel like sometimes thinking about stuff a lot just ruins it for you. So based on that, I decided to try and kind of like tackle this mental resistance that I was getting, because I was like, okay, now I've made my first video, it's done amazing. How will my second video do, and how will my third one do, and my fourth, and you know, that kind of thought process. So because of that, I found myself like every time I tried planning for my next YouTube video, I was struggling a lot. And that thing that I've told you about myself, like my form of mental resistance is really like overthinking and overanalyzing everything. So I started telling myself like, you know, all those people who supported you in the first video, it's just because it was your first, you know, people have to show up for your debut, but after that, don't expect people to follow you and to hype you up. This is something I was telling myself to hold myself back and to give myself reason not to do it that day. So it just became kind of a thing, a repetitive thing for a few days, until I just said, you know what, I can't keep doing this. Because if you watch my first video, I talked about how starting YouTube was always something I always wanted to do. So now that I'm here, I can't just let that vigor and zeal fizzle out just because I don't think I'm good enough. I kind of have to have a way around it. So that's kind of my story time and how I came up with this video, because I felt like if I'm struggling with this, then definitely someone else is struggling with it in a different sense. Because my hurdle was, you know, keeping up this YouTube consistency thing. Someone else's hurdle could be like, oh, you know, I passed that test, how am I gonna pass the next test? Or I talked to this girl and she expressed interest, but how am I gonna keep like talking to her? Or just like anything else, like I launched something like a clothing line, how am I gonna keep up with the design? So it could really be anything. And if you don't have like the right tools to help you, you might find yourself holding yourself back and wasting so much time trying to back and forth about like, do I keep doing this? I'm not even good enough. I don't think I'm gonna, the whole thing. So realistic solutions, what does that look like? First thing I would like to talk about before I give you the kind of solutions I have used to get to where I am now is that most of the times people tell us to talk ourselves up. And what that means is that you're supposed to tell yourself like you're the best, you got this, and all those positive connotations that we're supposed to feed our minds. But here's the thing. Sometimes you're not even in the mental headspace to receive that kind of talk from yourself because deep down you don't really believe it. And that could be because the kind of headspace you are in is so bad and negative based on just external circumstances or just something that you've gone through and now your confidence is a little shaken. So sometimes self-talk doesn't really do the trick because you don't believe it. Even when you're telling yourself all those nice things about yourself, you may not be in a position to believe it. So you can't rely on it always. I do agree it's a very effective solution and an effective way to kind of hype yourself up and pull yourself out of a rut, but it doesn't always work. So what do you do when self-talk doesn't just seem to cut it? The first solution I would propose is just taking time off whatever it is that's stressing you out to kind of regroup and find your rhythm again and just take a break from all that mental stress and worry. And what that means is that you need to block out all those thoughts that pertain to whatever, whether it's a project, whether it's like something you want to try, whether it's something you've already tried and it's worked out, whether it's a test, whether it's, I don't know, it could be whatever it is that you've already started and now you're there and now you're trying to struggle and pull yourself out of that mental resistance kind of place. So taking time off whatever is stressing you is very refreshing to you because you block yourself mentally from worrying for a specified duration. And I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna take a lot of conscious effort and it can be difficult at first because sometimes you can't help what you think about, like your thoughts just pop in your mind and, without warning, you find yourself thinking over and over and over about whatever it is that's stressing you. So this is something that's going to require you to take a bit of mental energy and conscious effort to block those things away from you. So what that means is, for example, if you feel like you're not prepared for the next project that you're supposed to handle, yet your first project was amazing and now everyone knows you as that project guru who can be trusted, with all these workflow systems and everything, push it away. If you need to block your email notifications, block them. If you need to kind of reduce communication with the person who reminds you of whatever projects you need to undertake, take your time and just kind of ease them into this idea of, hey, I'm not going to be available to talk about this for this and this period because I don't feel like it's doing any good for me right now. So however that looks for you. For me, it was just not looking at my posted YouTube video. I didn't want to look at the numbers. I didn't want to know how many views I got that day. I didn't even want to think about my next idea because I felt like the more I thought about it, the more I found reasons not to continue. And by not continuing, I don't mean quitting, but I just had this really aggressive thought that you're not going to be able to keep this up. So I knew I had to pull myself out of that because it's literally the second video I'm trying to think about. It's one thing to face this mental resistance when you've already established a streak of success and achievements and everything, but it's another thing, and I think it's even harder when you've just started something and now you're trying to figure out how to keep it up. So take your time off, and taking time off can look differently for different people because of different circumstances. So it could mean taking hours off, taking days off, weeks, months, or even years. So for example, if you're a student and you're worrying that my first test was amazing, I got all A's, my second test, I'm not sure it's gonna go the same way. You don't have the luxury of taking a week off, not thinking about your studies, because the truth of the matter is most academic settings work on a very strict time frame. So you might need to take maybe a weekend off where you just shut out any stress and pressure that you're not going to be able to achieve whatever you set your mind to, and just regroup after the weekend and whatever. For someone like me who had the luxury of time, because I knew like YouTube, in as much as you have your subscribers and they're going to be waiting on new content, you kind of have the control to see like when's the best time to post, depending on whether you have the content to post. So for myself, I knew I had a bit of luxury when it comes to time, so I didn't feel the need to just like hurry it up and post a video just because it's, you know, it's needed of me. But yeah, take your time off, shut out anything related to your stress and worries, and I promise you, when you get back to thinking into it, either your perspective will have changed, or at least your mind, at the very least, your mind will have relaxed and taken a break from worrying about all that, so that now you can freshly release new ideas on how to tackle the problem. The second solution I would propose is just doing more research on whatever it is that's making you get that mental resistance, because the truth is, most of us, our fears come from the fear of the unknown. I don't know if that sentence makes sense, but yeah, most of us, like, the only thing holding us back is the fear of the unknown. And in as much as you don't have to know everything like coming to you, because life and serendipity are something that you should also learn to accept and live with. So in as much as there's all that, you also kind of need to know exactly where you're framing yourself and see whether you can equip yourself with knowledge and information to make yourself better, because we all want to improve. And if you want to go far with whatever you're doing, you want to improve. So I suggest conducting some research, whether that means sitting down and reading on a topic related to whatever you want to do. If it means watching videos on improving yourself in a certain area, if that means talking to people who have experience in whatever you're trying to do, just conduct some research, and I promise you, the knowledge you get will give you so much more confidence to take on the challenge that seems to be holding you back mentally. So for myself, the problem with me is that I'm a newbie at everything I'm doing currently. That means I don't know how to edit, like, you know, mind-blowing content. I'm not necessarily very experienced with cameras, and in fact, I'm using my phone camera at the moment because that's all I know how to operate. But like, all those things were those for me. So what I needed to do is watch a lot of videos on how to get on this YouTube train as a beginner and all that. And I found that some of the knowledge I already kind of had in myself. And it was just like, it only took me taking that research and finding out more information to kind of boost my confidence and prepare myself to the next journey. Literally anything that you want to continue doing, pursuing, but your mental resistance is so much, most likely it's because you don't have sufficient information on the topic yet. And you know, we say knowledge is power, and that's true. The more you empower yourself with information, the better you position yourself to take on that thing and boss it. So I would suggest just conducting more research. It will enlighten you. The third and final solution I would offer is for you to sit down and reevaluate your goals, because unpopular opinion, you don't really have to see everything you start off through. You don't have to see everything through. That's an unpopular opinion, but that's my view of things. Because sometimes you start something and you do well, and people take notice of you, and now they build up all these expectations around you. But the truth of the matter is, your mind may not be there, and your interests and your purpose and what you know you need to be doing may not necessarily be on that. So reevaluation, self-reevaluation calls for complete honesty and self-awareness, because you yourself know what you want out of this life and what you want out of that project, challenge, or whatever it is that you're venturing into. You know exactly what you want out of it, and sometimes that vision may be short-lived. So it doesn't have to be that everything you start off you have to see through and that it has to thrive. And I know I've said this before in my previous video, not everything has to launch and be this glorious thing that's gonna connect you to some bigger purpose in life. Some things you're just meant to try out, see how it goes. If you thrive, live in the moment, enjoy the moment of victory, and then regroup and see if it's something you need to do. But at the end of the day, I feel like you'll genuinely know when you need to continue doing something. So in conclusion, I would just want to say that mental sabotage is a very common thing. I think all of us deal with it at one point or another, and it takes a lot of conscious effort mentally to pull yourself out of it. And I also think that self-awareness is critical when you're trying to talk yourself out of like this self-sabotage thing that I've discussed. So you need to know yourself, you need to understand yourself, and you need to know when you're pushing your limits to an uncomfortable and unrealistic level, because sometimes that sabotage could just be trying to protect us. It could just be like a self-preservation thing that's protecting you from something that you can't handle in the future. So you need to be very honest with yourself, and hopefully those realistic solutions that I've offered will be of help to someone, and I hope you find the courage to do whatever you need to do to pull yourself out of the rut and go out there and be the boss. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you on the next one, and if you liked it, if you want to go on this journey with me, you can subscribe, and see you on the next one. Bye.